Welcome back to another episode. Today, we actually have our first recurring guest to the show. If you don't know him, in November 2025, Christian Brown Johnson, he completed Project 5077, the Great World Race. It was an attempt to break a Guinness Book of World Records, which he did. It was 7 ultras on 7 continents over 7 days. So we're going to talk to him about that, but also he's just raced some of the hardest ultras stateside as well. And he continues to kind of lead the way by coaching some also insane people who want to push their bodies to extremes. So Christian, it's great to have you. Welcome back. How was everything? And I see that you're shirtless. So what's going on there?
Yeah, everything's good. Thank you for having me back. I actually just finished running 10 miles on the treadmill. So I got a little busy this morning and I thought, well, I have about an hour and 15 minutes. So I got to get on this podcast. So I just cranked out 10 miles real quick and now I'm here. So yeah, everything's good. I think this is my first shirtless podcast appearance. So hopefully this gets you guys some engagement here.
Should we be joining you? I don't know, Scott. Do we have to take our shirts off now too?
I think we will. I'm going to take my shirt off real quick. Here we go.
Nice.
Oh, you're doing it. Oh wow. All right. I guess that's the play. Well, this is a first.
This is the most wild.
We're doing this.
Anthony is putting us to shame over here. So, I mean, I feel like I should put a shirt on.
This is a first. Oh man,
this is the we just call this the shirtless podcast going forward. So I love it, man. What how's everything going, and what are you into right now?
Yeah, man, everything has been good. Been a busy year. Been traveling around a lot, doing some traveling with the wife. We had some events over the summer, so we were traveling just about every weekend. But yeah, everything is good. Got a couple races coming up the following weekend and the week after that. And then a big race in October. So I've been training for those.
What are the races coming up, and then what's the one in October?
Yeah, so I was actually going to do Leadville this upcoming weekend. Decided to defer that to next year because they changed the course because of the fires, unfortunately. And I figured, well, if I'm going to do Leadville for the first time, I want to do the original hardcore Leadville course that it's famous for. So just decided to defer it. And the following weekend, I'm doing Hell on Hogsback in Cleveland, Ohio. Pete with Sisu Sauna puts on that race to raise money for a cancer foundation. His dad battled cancer. So he puts on a great event every year and gets runners together to run a 1.1 mile loop on a hill as many times as you can for 12 hours. So we're going to go out and have some fun doing that and see what we can put down. And then a few days after that, I'm heading over to Sweden. I'm doing the Attilo Swim Run World Championships as a team, 2-man team. So that is on September 7th. And that's about 40 miles of running and about close to 6 miles of swimming. You're island hopping, just running across islands and swimming from island to island. And then October, we've got Moab 240. I've paced Moab 4 times over the years, and I love Moab, so I got the opportunity to run it myself, and I'm going to go run it and have some fun. So I'm excited for that.
Dude, you have such a busy schedule. Is it? I feel like Otillo is also like really taken off. Is that something that you had to qualify for? You've done it previously?
I did one last year. I did their race in Maine, and it was beautiful. Really incredible. I love the format. You're wearing a shorty, really thick wetsuit, and you're using a buoy between your legs and using paddles. So they give you everything you can use to go fast and not drown from fatigue from all the running. So I like that format. And you tether to your partner in the water, which is cool because my buddy that invited me, he's a little bit of a stronger swimmer and I'm a stronger runner. So we kind of, we equal out on both disciplines. And I let him kind of drag me along a little bit on some of the swims. So it works out. But we ended up taking second place male team overall, which I was surprised. We did pretty well. And I thought, wow, this was fun, and ended up taking second, which qualified us for the World Championship this year. So we signed up last December and it's already here. So really excited for that race.
Wow.
That's
and
amazing.
you're both swimming and running together, or does one go while the other rests?
No, you do the whole thing together.
Oh, cool.
And for the buoy between your legs, it's like it's a much larger than just like a normal swim pool buoy, right?
So you can use different size buoys. There's a company called Arc that's pretty well known in the swim run world, and they make some massive ones that just, I mean, keep you up on
Yeah.
the surface. So yeah, I used a regular one last year. I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit of a bigger one this year. It's kind of difficult to order some of those because it's overseas and they charge you a fortune for just for fees to ship it over. So when we go over there, I'm going to try to snag a little bit of a larger buoy and practice with it a little bit before the race.
Nice. And then for Moab 240, so so you're about probably what, like 7 weeks out?
So it's October 9th through the 14th.
What does your training look like now from like a week to week standpoint and like total mileage?
Yeah, so year round right now, I've been running about 70 miles a week is kind of my minimum. If I'm having a deload week, I'm usually about 50 to 60. I've been doing a lot of kind of cross training, a little bit of high rocks focus. So I do about 4 to 5 hours a week of that. And then swims, I do a couple swims a week right now, just getting ready for the swim run race. But yeah, year round, I'm doing a baseline of about 70 miles a week, and then this week I'll probably hit 100. I'm gonna do a deload next week for Hell on Hogs back, and yeah, just kind of roll right into the Sweden trip.
Yeah.
That's wild. 50 to 60 miles being your deload is it's pretty crazy. Wow. So with the what's the race in Ohio called? Hell on Hogs? Is that
Hell
what you
on
said?
Hogs back.
Hell on Hogs back. I don't want to gloss over. That sounds like the ultimate form of torture. Just running the same mile loop over and over for 12 hours. Have you done that before? Has this race been going on for a number of years?
Yeah, I'm not sure how many years he's done this race. This will be my first time. But the kicker with the race is it's on a hill. So you run down this hill from this parking lot, and you have 140 feet of gain going back up. And it's about a 12% grade. So that's where things get a little tricky. So I mean, I plan to shoot for somewhere around 70 miles. I mean, I'd love to win it if I could, but we'll see who shows up. You know, I welcome all the good competition. It'll make for a fun day. But yeah, if you hit 70 miles, it's about over 8,000 feet of gain total. So it adds up quick.
Obviously, backyards are like huge right now. Why have they gotten so popular? Obviously, in the last week, Mark Dowdle, that last Soul Ultra, like the guy went for 5 days straight. What's the appeal? And then you've also done some big, big races. So you did Arizona 300. Do you think backyards are more difficult, easier? What is your take on all this?
I think there's a big difference. I mean, the concept of moving for days on end obviously is hard in itself. Arizona Monster 300, you've got over 40,000 feet of elevation gain, bunch of different weather. At the top of Mount Lemmon, we had snow. Then down on the desert floor, we had 100+ degree weather at some points, wind, lightning, rain. We had a little bit of everything. And climbing that much is a beast in itself. These backyard ultras, I think mentally it's more fatiguing because you go do a 240, 300-mile race. There's a finish line and you're going to cross that at some point. Backyard ultra, I mean, like Mark Dowdle just went for just hair under 4 days straight. You never know when it's going to end. You just got to accept the fact that you live on this path until you're the last one standing or your body just gives up. And I think it's super, super impressive what these guys are doing. I mean, Harvey Lewis, he's an OG in the game of these last man standings and ultras. And it's becoming such a big thing. I think with BPN kind of blowing it up a little bit over the last couple of years and kind of making some stars out of the events. And now to see where it's at, with all these ultra runners and social media is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I was wondering the same thing, Scott. I'm glad you asked that because, like Arizona 300, you're running 300 miles. It takes multiple days. But I think, like you said, the mental aspect of that every hour on the hour, there's no, like aid station that maybe you could take a 30-minute nap at. It's just that stress of like every single hour. And then, yeah, who knows when it'll end. I mean, Mark ran 390 some odd miles. It's just, I've wondered, like, guys who are really competing in some of these longer ultras, if they were to do a backyard, like how they would see it, how they would perform, and just like mentally hold up.
Yeah, I think the big difference, you take somebody that's really good, or let's say average at these 200, 300-mile races, and you put them in a backyard ultra. Okay, it's all flat, which is nice, a little easier, but you have that time
Yeah.
constraint, and you have to move quickly. You can't take long naps. It's got to be micro napping, which is very hard to do, and you can't sit in an aid station and wait for your quesadilla or your burger to be made and or your pancakes, like at a regular ultra. So you've got to consistently be moving, and that's the big difference. Where that time factor really plays a, a factor in the difficulty of it all.
Yeah.
Have you
For
have you ever done one, or do you have any interest in doing one?
So I actually did do one that had a cap of 100 miles. It was in, oh gosh, very beginning of 2020. It was in Texas, and the course was actually completely flooded. Part of it was about 2 feet underwater, and we were just moving slow through these flooded segments. And uh, I remember, I think I stopped at like mile 44, and the furthest anybody went was 50 miles. But that's my only kind of backyard experience. Same format, the 4.16 mile course, and
Yeah.
all flat other than being flooded. I'd love to do one at some point. Right now, I've just had a lot of other events that I've been focusing on. So one of these days, I'll do one.
Have you thought about becoming your own race director and doing like a putting it together like a backyard in the pistachio farm?
So what's funny is last year after I paced Cocodona, I came out in our 10-acre orchard and I ran 100 miles. Uh, and after I posted about that, I had a bunch of people reach out to me and say, "Man, we need to get together and do a race out here." I could definitely do one. It'd have to be pretty small. We don't have a lot of room out here to park a bunch of people, and the trees are getting bigger, so you don't have a whole lot of space to run down the rows right now. Um, but yeah, we could definitely do it. I've got some other areas out here where I'm at where we could put something together, and we have a really good community of runners too. So I think we can make a good event happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I feel like your interests are like so broad and I feel like you would be like the perfect person to kind of even like start small, but yeah, something to think about. But let's talk about last year because we had you on the show and you hadn't even revealed yet that you were taking on this Guinness Book of World Records, 7 ultras, 7 continents, 7 days. So, how did you ever even come up with that? What made you want to do it? And then just like walk us through the logistics of, as a thought to like, hey, now I'm in like Antarctica.
Yeah, end of 2024. It was shortly after World's Toughest Mudder. That was the last time I ran World's Toughest Mudder. Took third place, and was kind of just rolling off the high of that event. And I thought, man, I need to do something really big next year. And I started to think, what could I do around the world? Like, what would be really cool to do worldwide? And I thought, okay, every continent. What can I do on every continent? And just started kind of piecing this together and started looking into Guinness. Somehow that just kind of got involved and actually found a female runner that in 2017, she set the Guinness World Record, first one for the female category for fastest time to run ultra marathon distance on every continent. And so I thought, well, I want to do this. How can I do this? And I started kind of piecing things together. And then I just started chasing it. And I was like, okay, how can I logistically do this? Take myself and a small group of people around the world. Every continent was pretty easy to get to other than Antarctica. There's only a few ways to get there, and it costs an absolute fortune. So I had been seeing ads for the Great World Race on my Instagram pop up left and right. I thought, well, look, if I can go with them, all that's taken care of. I reached out to them, got on a Zoom call with the owner and his business partner that had originally started the first 777. And we got to talking, and I was like, hey, this is what I kind of want to do. And I want to involve Guinness with it. And they said, not a problem at all. We're very well versed in Guinness World Records and how to work with them and how to certify things. So if you want to come with us, and you'll be the only person that's going to be running 50Ks while everybody else is doing a marathon or half marathon, and we'll certify your distance for you, make it legit. It's all going to be recorded. So I was like, okay, well, how much does this thing cost? And they told me, and I was like, okay, well, do you guys have a payment plan for this? Like, how can we make this happen? So, yeah, I signed up with them and paid for that whole deal throughout the year. It was not cheap whatsoever. I had to scrounge a lot of money together. I mean, I took out a freaking loan to make the first payment on it. And it was just, I was like, I was so dedicated to doing this that I was going to make it happen no matter what. Couple months into planning all this, I kept thinking to myself, like, it seems a little selfish to do something this big and do it for myself and just to do it for a Guinness World Record. That doesn't seem fair to the world. If I'm going to go around the world and do something like this, I need to do some good with it. My grandpa's got Parkinson's, and one day it just clicked. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this and raise money for Parkinson's, for the Michael J. Fox Foundation. I'm going to do this for my grandpa. I want to make him proud. He's been watching me do all these crazy events and races over the past, at that point, been 12 years and going on 13 years now of endurance sports. So that became the main driving factor of this whole project. And I started to kind of work with the Michael J. Fox Foundation and reach out to people, in the Parkinson's community. And then that became the main mission of this whole project.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and even to start this show, you talked about the upcoming race that you're doing is to raise money for cancer research too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, was your grandfather still alive, correct?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, he's
nice.
he's
And I,
he's doing good. He's got his ups and downs for sure, but he's got things kind of consistent, a little under control now. And in October, he's supposed to be doing the deep brain stimulation surgery, so that should take away
okay.
a lot of his issues. So hopefully all that goes well. And we're actually I found another non-invasive procedure that he can do that's actually working the same as the deep brain stimulation is. So might try to push him in that direction so he doesn't have to have a device planted in his head. But we'll see.
Yeah, yeah,
Either of those are great procedures that work well. So yeah, looking forward to that.
yeah.
And
So
how much money did you end up raising for the cause?
So with the project, I ended up raising a little over $11,000 for the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And then I
That's
raised some
awesome.
more money beginning of this year for another Parkinson's nonprofit that I got really close to after I finished the project.
Congrats, man. That's great. We
Thank you.
um we actually just had Jeff Seckendorf on the podcast last week, right? I don't think the episode hasn't dropped yet, but he was talking to us about work that his wife does with Parkinson's patients, and yeah, so if you want, we can always connect you with them too. But definitely awesome that you were able to, you know, tie what you were doing together and create a lot of good out of it, in addition to just, chasing something
yeah.
super impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I love to
So
connect. I love this whole community. Everybody that's involved has been great, and I met quite a few people and connected with quite a few people around the world through the project that have been directly impacted by Parkinson's, and it blew my mind to see everywhere I ran there was somebody involved with Parkinson's.
the so to start so how many people went out with you and attended all 7 continents?
So the whole group was about 55 runners, and then they had a crew of people that were setting up the runs every day, the aid stations, and every the whole um basically all the logistical pieces of it.
Yeah. And what was the what was the logistics like to get to Antarctica?
So we all had to get ourselves to Cape Town, South Africa. And from there, our first day was supposed to be Antarctica. But the night before, we all got an email that said, hey, it's going to be too warm in Antarctica for us to land this massive plane on the ice. It's not hard enough. So we're going to run Cape Town first and then go to Antarctica. So we ran Cape Town. And then that evening, we flew to Antarctica and started our run in Antarctica at about 2 a.m. in the morning. And we had,
Wow.
from the time the plane landed to the time we had to leave, they give you 8 hours. It's a hard cutoff, 8 hours. We got to be back on the plane and go. And we flew from Antarctica back to Cape Town, got off of that plane, walked over to our next plane, got on that plane, and flew to Perth, Australia. So it was just like a go, fast turnaround. Basically doing 250Ks in less than a day, right off the get go.
What so from California to South Africa, like how long was that flight? And then how long was it from Cape Town to Antarctica?
So we flew. So I actually had my buddy David. He's a videographer. He went along with me, and we met up in LA. Flew out of LA straight to Qatar. That's about a 15-hour flight, give or take. Had a long layover there, which was cool because I've been to Qatar a couple times for some layovers. So I took him out to the town and we ate dinner and got to kind of explore a little bit. It's an awesome place. And then from there to Cape Town, gosh, I forget how long that one was. I may be mistaken, but I'm going to say another 6+ hours.
Mhm.
From Cape Town to Antarctica was, I believe it was about 5.5 hours.
Okay. But still, that's a lot. For the first 2 days, you're just, in a plane for like 30 hours and you ran 2 ultras.
Well, we got to Cape Town early. We were there, I would say 4 or 5 days before we started. We actually did a little bit of exploring, hiked some of the flat top mountains they had right next to the city, which was cool. Um, yeah, I like if I get to go places to do races, I like to explore a little bit if I can.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
What
So
was
then
the,
you
uh
go ahead, Scott.
what was your biggest surprise about Antarctica? Or just the vastness or, like, cold or, like, for the people who are never gonna be able to go there?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of indescribable. It's so just white. Where we were was called Wolf's Fang, and they call it Wolf's Fang because there's a mountain range that looks like wolf's teeth that are right next to the camp where we were, and it's kind of just a camp that they use for excursions and for people that want to go maybe stay there for a couple days and have some nice dinners. They have a chef there and stuff like that, and then they do these races there. Um, yeah, I mean, no animals. It was just you're on solid ice and they have a groomer, they have a grooming machine. So they groom the runway. Then they had most of our run course groomed. Um, I mean, very, very runnable. Everybody was in road running shoes. So, easy to run. But yeah, they told us, they said, do not leave the run, the course. Don't go venture off because you might disappear and fall in a crevasse. We'll never find you again. So stay on course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did they like groove it, or like how did you run on the ice without slipping just in running shoes?
Yeah, they took a snow grooming machine like they would use at a ski resort, and they just kind of groomed because we ran on part of the runway, and then kind of looped
Yeah.
around and did. It was kind of a funky course path. Some of it was a little bit of thicker snow, and then we crossed one part where it was pretty much just solid ice, so you had to kind of be really careful running across. One of the cool things though was the sun doesn't go down at all, so I mean, we were there starting at around 2 a.m. and, the sun was up in the sky just a little bit. And then it kind of came up, but it didn't go like all the way up in the sky. It was just right there along the horizon and just kind of floated, just stayed there.
That's cool. What
Yeah.
what over the course of the 7 days, like what was some of the like was there any places that you were really surprised about, or just like the actual support, or like when you took a step back when you were finished with everything, what were some kind of like the key takeaways from it all?
Yeah. Let's see, Perth, Australia. So we had a wild weather difference. So it was about negative 26 degrees with the wind chill factor in Antarctica. And then immediately after, Perth, Australia was about 110, and just huge difference. Which where I live, it's hot. I mean, we got 100+ degree weather right now consistently. So I'm used to the heat, and most of our runs were pretty warm. I actually met a gentleman there. Every day they would have somebody follow me out specifically on my last lap. We had just kind of out and backs for every run, and the gentleman that followed me out talked to me afterwards. He said, "Hey, I hear you're doing this for Parkinson's. I just lost my wife 8 months ago from Parkinson's." We had a great discussion, and that was just like, wow, like the guy that's literally following me out on this last lap has been affected by something I'm running to support. That was something that really warmed up my heart and made me feel like I was doing something important. And I mean, a couple other really cool things was in Algarve, Portugal. There, we were in this little town. It's kind of a summer town where people usually come summertime and it gets really busy. But when we were there, it was completely dead. Just looked like a ghost town. And out of nowhere, 60 school kids come out of the school, and they're sitting on the sidewalk next to kind of like our start finish line. And as we're running through, they're cheering on, they're singing songs, and then they all put out their hands, and I could run by it. I remember high fiving all of them, and that was one of the coolest moments. I'm like, there's just these kids that have no clue who I am or who any of these other people are running, and I get the opportunity to run around the world, and these kids are just so excited to see all of us and out here supporting us. So we had a lot of support from the whole community there. The mayor came out. They had a whole ordeal there for us, which was really cool. Um, let me see a couple other good takeaways. Miami. So the final one, that was probably the most impactful one. I had originally planned to run that one the same day we ran Cartagena, Colombia, because we were supposed to leave Cartagena, which we started that run about 3 o'clock in the morning. And then it's a couple-hour flight to Miami. We were supposed to be in Miami in the afternoon. We got a little delayed. We didn't get into Miami till 10:30 at night. So I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to run the run next morning like everybody else is. But I decided to start an hour before everybody else. And I had my grandpa there, my grandma, my mom, my uncle, my cousin, my brother. So they all showed up, and they were wearing my Project 5077 shirts. And like, that was just such an emotional moment. Like, I feel like I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Walk up to them, give them all hugs. And I was like, okay, like, I can't stand here and talk to you guys. I'm going to start crying. I just need to start this thing. And I started, and I took off running. And that day was my fastest 50K. According to my watch, I went right under 4 hours, but my official course timing was like 4 hours and 30 seconds or something like that. But there were so many people there along the path we were running, just family for all the runners and people out there just supporting. Everybody was cheering everybody on. There was so much energy, and I was just cooking, like just moving as strong as I could.
Yeah.
And yeah, when my number one goal, and I thought about this before I went to do this whole project, was I want to cross the final finish line with my grandpa. And I'm running back on my last lap. My uncle already knew what I wanted to do, and I'm texting him. I said, "Hey, okay, I'll be back like in X amount of time. I'd hit my turnaround. I'm coming back." I said, I call my grandpa Papa. I said, "Get Papa ready. I'm gonna run up and grab his hand and walk him across the finish line. So make sure he's right there." And as I ran up, I just like worked out so perfectly, exactly how I had pictured it. And every day that whole week, I just kept picturing that moment, and it happened to the exact T. I grabbed his hand and we walked across the finish line. And I remember grabbing the ribbon and I threw it in the air and I just yelled and gave him a hug. And everybody was just like, it went from loud to like just this silence, this like moment of just like, okay, I did this. Like it all came together and just locked in. And that was probably the most impactful moment of like my entire life. Like it's hard to talk about. Like I
Yeah,
always get
that's
super emotional. Like even when I
Yeah.
watch the videos back of all of it and see photos, I'm like, man, like that moment was a pivotal moment in my life, and hopefully for my grandpa's as well.
It's amazing.
yeah. I always feel like it's I don't know. The older that I've gotten as well is for any like really big races, my parents will like come fly out, and I feel like certain, the older we get, I don't know, the less I see my parents. So it's like it's always so nice to have them right there when you kind of almost need them most, whether it's like a physical thing or a mental thing. So that's amazing. Yeah, I'm sure your grandfather was like so grateful.
Yeah, yeah, he was tearing up and crying, and my dad couldn't make it out, so my mom had him on FaceTime. So I'm holding the phone and trying to talk to him, and it was just kind of a chaotic moment, but it just such a surreal situation to think like, man, this week went by so fast, and this is already over with, and I came out here to accomplish something, and I did it, and got the family here, and that was my number one goal.
Did
Was
it
was there a previous record that you were chasing, and like were you stressed about, being close to it, or did you have plenty of time where you were able to really just relax, take in that last race?
So there actually was not a record. I was the first male to ever do the specific record, and the record was the total time. So from the second I started the first run until I ended my last run, so
Hmm.
total travel time. Uh, Another reason I
Oh
did
wow.
start an hour early though was I wanted to make sure I broke the female record as well, which doesn't matter on paper at all. But I figured, hey, she's got this time, and it, like I said, it all depends on when you start that first one, and yeah, so I want to make sure I broke that one, and then I actually got a second Guinness World Record, which was the total running time, and there was a previous record set, which doesn't mean you have to do it in 7 days. It's just, okay, you've done a ultra marathon distance on every continent. It doesn't matter if it takes you a year, 5 years. What is your total running time to do it? I broke that one by about 7 hours, give or take. And I wasn't really trying to run extremely fast. I was, being a little conservative on my pacing, and kind of had a number in my mind of what I wanted to run every day. And yeah, I think it all turned out pretty well.
You've done so many races, and I mean, you said you trained 70 to 100 miles a week. At any point where was it something that you didn't think you would be able to accomplish, or like was it just about recovery when you weren't running? And yeah, did it feel overly hard or not really because you weren't really focused on the overall pace?
Yeah, honestly, the funny thing is it didn't feel that hard at all. um,
Yeah.
217 miles over the week. And uh, I flew total flight miles, total from the time I left my place till the time I got back home was, I think, 44,000 miles of flying. Um, yeah, I mean, trust me, I had some hard days where I was getting a little fatigued. Portugal, afterwards, I got a massage. My hamstrings were hurting pretty bad that day. But other than that, I mean, consistent. Never walked, ran everything. Um, felt phenomenal. Just kept up on my hydration and my fueling, and just, yeah, did what I could. Antarctica was the hardest because it was so cold, and I had 2 layers of gloves on. So if I took my big gloves off and tried to eat something, my fingers would freeze and take about 10 minutes to warm back up. So it was difficult to try to get food down that day. So that was my slowest 50K. I think I came in around 5 hours, a little over 5 hours.
So how did you fuel the 7 days the actual race, and then what were you kind of doing in between as well?
Yeah, so never second gels and bars are my go-to every day. Try to get about 1,000 milligrams of sodium in every hour. And then the aid stations, they had some good stuff there that we could utilize. They had salt pills. They had a bunch of other snacks. On the flights, they fed us really well. They gave us a menu every time we were on the flight, and we could order as much food as we could. So just loaded up as much as I
Uh,
possibly could. And recovery wise, I every time I slept, I had my Normatec boots on, and I just set them for the max amount of time. And I'd wake up a few times throughout the night and just hit the button again and let them keep rolling. And they worked great.
Are you flying business at least where you can lay down, or are you in the back shoved back in there? Which I just that to me would be the worst part of this whole experience. After running an ultra, getting shoved in the back of a flight as if traveling isn't just horrible enough.
Yeah. So with the Great World Race, they rent out a big business class plane, and it's all lay down seats in the whole plane, which was really
Oh,
nice.
there you go.
So
Okay.
you lay down flat, you got your pillow, your bedding, and it's pretty nice. So they take care of everybody pretty well.
Were you able to get the Normatec boots on during the flight, or
Oh yeah, yeah. There's so much room, so it's like between you and the seat in front of
that's
you.
huge?
Yeah, yeah. So they worked perfectly.
Was the food regional? Like different places had different food, or was it all kind of like the same throughout?
Yeah, it was a little mashup of different things. I mean, lots of basic
Yeah,
protein, chicken, steak. I mean, breakfast, potatoes and bagels, pancakes, omelets. I mean, whatever, all
nice.
kind of typical stuff. The Great World Race happens every November. Then they have the World Marathon Challenge, which is the same concept, just some different locations, and that takes place at the end of January. The Great World Race, awesome experience. The crew is phenomenal. They're all from Ireland. Great guys. They take care of everybody really well. We had some hotels along the way too. After some of our runs, we'd be in a hotel for half a day, maybe just a little bit overnight until we had to fly out again. And they took care of everything really well. Got everything organized quickly. So you do have a little bit of luxury on a trip like that. It's not any, you know,
Yeah.
$50 Motel 6 hotels. It's like, oh, we're in
Yeah.
Cartagena, Colombia, and you're in this really nice hotel for half a day. So yeah, I mean, you get what you pay for. It's not cheap. The whole thing's about 50 to $60,000 depending on how and when you pay for it with the currency exchange. Um, Plus extra costs on top of that with flying yourself to Cape Town and home from Miami. Um, but yeah, if you can find a way to afford it and do it, it's well worth it.
Yeah. What and then after the whole thing was done, how long did it take to get certified with the Guinness Book World Records? What was that, a pain or was that pretty straightforward?
I had to wait for a letter from the owner of the Great World Race, and that was about a month. And it got certified, I think, within a week to 2 weeks after I submitted everything. So that was
Oh,
a quick process. It was kind of a long when I first applied and was saying, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. This is going to be a new record. It took a couple months to get everything situated with them. They're very specific on their rules and if it can be repeatable and et cetera. And basically I said, well, look, you've had a female do exactly what I'm trying to do. So we kind of just utilized what her stipulations were and rules were for what she did over to the record that I set.
you've blessed us with an hour of your time, but quickly, Anthony, he's actually doing his first 50K in 4 weeks.
I need to figure out what socks to wear. So I've been using features, which are really thin and are like great for road running and biking. But for the trail, I was saying like I feel like I need something thicker. So
Mhm.
I don't know what people tend to wear, doing the trail runs, especially like with the downhill, your foot's kind of sliding more. And I've been having issues with blisters. So I would love your advice on socks.
Yeah. My go-to for trail is in Gingy toe socks. I never wear toe socks on a daily basis ever. And even on my road runs, I won't. But for trail, for especially for an ultra, and Gingy toe socks, they are the trail version, and they're a little bit thicker. And you get their long socks or their ankle socks, whatever you're comfortable with. Those have always been my go-to, and especially in very long ultras, I like to lube up my feet. Squirrel's Nut Butter actually has a specific anti-chafe foot cream that you can use. There's also
Hmm.
on the topic of anti-chafing, Desitin. That is basically diaper rash cream. It's like this white paste that will stain
Yeah.
just about everything, but you will not chafe whatsoever. There's a couple other brands that make the same type of diaper rash that Desitin makes that aren't as aggressive as far as staining clothes and anything else it touches. But yeah, you put that stuff on anywhere on your body and you're not going to chafe.
Good to know. So you like the toe socks, huh? Are they merino wool or what? Like what fabric do you use? Do they have different options or?
That's a great question. I think no, I don't believe they are merino wool. I think they make some that are.
I was going to say, since we're on the topic, are you a big fan of compression socks, or are you not a believer?
No, I've never been a fan of compression socks. I mean, I'm sure they help. I've used it full of times during some of my first obstacle course racing ultras, like World's Toughest Mudder, for example. I usually wear compression tights, and those work really well overall for whole leg fatigue. But yeah, never really compression socks.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'll check
Yeah.
those out in Gingy.
Yeah, in Gingy Trail, midweight socks. Yeah, I don't think they are merino wool. Yeah, they're
There's
phenomenal.
so brands out there. It's just hard to know like what to pick from. So if there's a sock brand out there that wants to sponsor this podcast, let us know.
Yeah, there's a new brand that
Yeah.
came out called Creepers. That's also a toe sock brand, kind of like in Gingy. I
I've
don't know
seen
if
those on my Instagram.
Yeah, I don't think they make a thicker version of their socks. They're a little bit more thin. I have one pair, but they're great as well.
Okay. I'm worried about the toe socks. I have like flippers for feet, and they're pretty like square. So I don't know if my toes are going to be the right proportions. I don't know.
Yeah, try them and see. I know a few people that are the same way that can't wear them because their toes are too big. But give them a shot and see if they work.
Yeah.
If not, yeah, there's plenty of other socks out there that are a little bit thicker for trail purposes. And what you can do is just lube up your toes, in between your toes, so you won't blister, or even use Leuco tape. Leuco tape is my favorite tape to use. Like if you need to put it on the back of your heel or wrap your toes with it. I use it as like my nipple tape, so you won't chafe the nips. It's not coming off, and it hurts when you peel it off.
There we go, Scott. Lube up your toes. That's the takeaway of this episode. Who would have thought?
I think that's it for me. Where can people find you?
I basically just use Instagram, and it's my full name at Christian Brown Johnson. I'm not too consistent with posting, so I post a lot about my adventures and some training and things like that. But yeah, I've got those couple events coming up this year and next March. So a couple of the guys I met doing the Great World Race, they're building out a project called 316. We're going to start March 16th, and it is to raise awareness for child sex trafficking. And what we're going to do is we're going to run 10 time zones around the world in 10 days and do a 50K every day. So we're working on putting that together right now. It's not to break any speed records, it's just to go out and run the distance and kind of do everything with commercial flights and see if we can make it happen. But the whole premise is to raise funding and awareness for child sex trafficking.
You are running for some important things, my friend.
Well, I figured, hey, this is my passion, and if I can give back to the world and inspire other people, that means more to me than just going out and accomplishing a time goal or whatever else for myself. I'd rather do important things in the world with what my body can do than than not.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's amazing. Thanks again for jumping on to give us a recap since the last time we talked.
Yeah.
And good luck in all the upcoming races. Crush it.
Yeah, good luck in Sweden.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. If Anthony, if you have any other questions on anything, any gear or any tips for your 50K, just let me know. Be happy to help.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks. I will.